Word for you today, November 25th, this Monday. Glean, store up, and share. Glean, store up, and share. Our scripture passage comes from Genesis chapter 41, verse 35. You remember the story about Joseph. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, and then he was actually a slave at the age of 17. He was then a slave for 13 years. Started off in Potiphar's house, and then was falsely accused of something, and then he ended up in the prison there. And that's where he was when Pharaoh had a dream, and he needed to know the meaning of the dream. And that's when somebody remembered, Joseph, he can interpret dreams. And in Genesis 41:35, this is Joseph after telling the king the meaning of the dream, he now tells him what he should do because of the dream. He says, they should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to be kept in the cities for food. The dream showed the king that there's going to be 7 years of plenty. Then there's going to be 7 years of famine. And so Joseph is telling the king, look for somebody who's wise, who can store up in this 7 years of plenty, can store up food so that there will be food in the 7 years of famine. And the king says, who better than you? You could interpret the dream. You also have the plan. You be the one. And so Joseph went from being a slave to being second in command of all Egypt. So we learn some things from Joseph here about how to be good stewards of what we have. And all of us, we may not think we have plenty, but actually in some areas we do. So here's Joseph's plan for collecting for those days when things aren't going to be as good. First, he said, collect food during the good years. Times of prosperity come, we need to set some money aside. Sometimes when unexpected money comes in, we want to spend it and go do this and go do that. There may be a reason why we have this extra money coming in. It may be that we're going to need it in a short period of time. So if we live on 100% of our income and something goes wrong, we're in trouble. But if we learn to live on 60 or 70% of our income and save the other, then when things happen, and they always do, then we've got something to fall back on. When things get tough, we're not in a bind because we have something to fall back on. So the first thing is store up, save during the good times. The second thing is continuing to store up the grain, store up extra. If you can set aside extra for those rainy days that you're going to need that. And then the next thing, be willing to share with others who need help. When we're giving extra, there's a reason. There's a reason why. And it may not be so that we can have this and this and this. It may be that God has given us extra so that we can help somebody else through something. So the next time we get extra money, extra income somehow, think about, okay, God, why do I have this extra? Maybe you want me to enjoy this something I haven't been able to enjoy. Or maybe you want me to use that to help somebody. But the thing we need to remember is there's always going to be hard times coming. And those that store up and have extra, they're going to be okay. It's those that spend everything that are going to be in trouble. In Luke chapter 6, verse 38, Jesus says, give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. What is he saying? He's saying, if you're generous, God will be generous to you. I lived in Shelbina, Missouri for a few years. One of the things I learned from the hog farmers there, the family hog farmers, were there are years when hog prices are high. Oh, those are good times. Money's coming in, everything's going well. But if you spend all your money when the hog prices are low, and they will go low, they go up and they go down, then when the hog prices are low, you're in trouble. So what they do is they upgrade their equipment, they set money aside so that they're not up here or down here. They can remain balanced because they set aside money during the good times to get them through times when the prices are low. Joseph showed us that several hundred years ago, how to do that. So I guess the question for you and me is, are we prepared for difficult times to come? They're going to come. Sometimes it's for a season, sometimes it's for an extended season. You may be in a good time right now. If you are, make sure you're saving something. If you're not, maybe this is a rough time. Have you saved anything? If you haven't, then the next time you have extra, be sure you put some aside for these difficult times. Glean, store up, and share. Remember, as we are generous to others, God will be generous to us. Have a good day.